Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, I'm John, this is MacLeod, and welcome back to Medieval 2 Total War. Last time we kicked off our adventure with Denmark, the mighty, fearsome Vikings. Or not, maybe not so much anymore. They used to be the Vikings, they're trying to reform, but to be honest, I'm not sure I want them to reform. They've still got a bit of the good old tough axemen about them, and that's the way I flipping like it. Damn it. We started off here with our house, our starting territory, and we took over Hamburg, so we now have one town and one proper castle. So that right there is a promising starting point. A less promising starting point, however, is the fact the Imperials already seem to be invading, but hopefully they're only here because they were trying to take Hamburg for themselves, and now they'll leave peacefully. They flipping better anyway. Now, Prince Charles is already heading over here to take over Magdeburg down here. He wants to take over that because our nobles have asked him to do it, and there's 2,500 florins up for grabs. At this point in the game, trade is not really going to be generating much money. We don't have the population to really support much in the way of farming, and to be perfectly honest, because we've got Hamburg where we can't increase the tax rate, we can't make much tax income either. So at the very beginning of the game, the missions and the money that the nobles give you for doing their missions, yeah, that's actually very worth having, to be perfectly honest. So we definitely want to go and take that. Plus, it would not be a bad idea to have a line of 2 castles to potentially stand as defense against the Imperials. Because what we've got down here, and this is something very worth considering, what's the lay of the land in terms of castles versus towns? Because for the most part, the AI won't actually make changes. The AI doesn't like turning its castles into towns or its towns into castles. It'll pretty much just kind of take a territory as it finds it and then just leave it there and upgrade it in that direction. In fact, I'm not even sure the AI, can change a castle into a town. I'm not sure I've even ever flipping, seen that happen. For the most part, changing between castle and town is something the player does, not the AI. Let me know if I'm wrong in the comments, but as far as I'm aware, it just doesn't really flipping happen. So as a result, over here, their capital, Frankfurt, is a town and probably pretty much always will be. And this town here, Nuremberg, is just a basic crappy town and probably always will be. So that means the troops they're training here are not the best quality troops. The troops they're training that are the best quality troops are down here, over in Innsbruck, and that's just basically Juvavum, isn't it? Don't lie to me, that's Juvavum and you know it. And over here at Staufen. So as a result, yeah, their best troops are actually going to be more like down here. They've also got Vienna over here, that's also a large town. I think they've got another city over there. So yeah, they start off with 4 towns and 2 cities, but their best troops aren't being trained up here. So if I have 2 castles close by to their 2 towns, in a straight-up slugging match, that actually works pretty well in my favour. So as a result, I'd be pretty happy with that situation. I'd consider that a pretty sturdy border to have against the Imperials. Unless, of course, the Imperials are about to go to war with someone else, which hopefully they really flipping will, because then that would draw their attention off me. Because right now, I probably look a little bit weak and flimsy and vulnerable. Now, I did actually train myself a diplomat. Darn it, he's not a very good diplomat. Yeah, religion plays a bigger part in the game, not just in terms of, the fact you've got, priests floating around, but also it, impacts other traits. So this guy has dogmatic beliefs. Because he was trained in an area where there was, overwhelmingly Catholicism and nothing else, that means he's worse as a diplomat, because now if he goes elsewhere, he's going to, be not so good at dealing with those people. So as a result, he's kind of lost a point in diplomacy already, which is a shame, but we'll just have to make do with that. Right. You can go over... Actually, you go in this direction. You head over here, and you find the Polish people. That's what I want you to do. I want you to find the Polish people, and the Romanians, and probably the Russians beyond them. The princess, however, I'm going to send her more in this direction towards the French, I think. Because if she goes and finds the French, then... Actually, it's the best way to go. Probably... she could go... Actually, she could go by boat. That's actually probably... the easier way to do it. I'm going to bring Admiral John out here. And Admiral John, you are going to escort our princess round towards where the French and the English are next turn. And then, or kind of most of the way anyway. Because, yeah, you'll definitely travel faster by boat. So hopefully Admiral John doesn't get attacked by pirates. I'll be really sad if Admiral John sinks. I will be so flipping sad if that happens. But yeah, that's fine for now. You can stay... This area is actually 75% Catholic. It's paganism. Right, let's get rid of paganism. We've got our priest standing here. He'll reduce the paganism. That'll make this territory happier. Not that we really need to worry about happiness in Hamburg, but one day we might convert Hamburg to be a proper city. The reason why you do actually want it is not just because of money, though it is basically money, but also its population. You notice that as we've kind of moved into Hamburg, it's already flipping static population at 3,000. Now, you probably think that's a problem, because I'm just going to start dreading people. No. Massive change. Actually, it probably is a change most people miss, to be honest. But it is actually a massive change versus Rome Total War. when you recruit people, it now does not take them out of the general population. It used to, it doesn't. So previously, if I trained, like, you know, someone with 120 men in it, then that would have actually taken 120 men out of the population, which actually reduced the number of available taxpayers, etc. That is no longer true. Now, if I train someone, they're just magicked out of, like, nowhere. So over here in our house, by the way, right now the population is 3,838. If I just train myself 2 town militia, in Rome Total War, they would have been committed immediately, but no. In this game, does not happen. Now, it doesn't have that much of a big impact on the game because, yeah, in Rome Total War, the reason why that was important was because it meant you couldn't just kind of be pouring troops out constantly because you'd screw over your tax base. But in Medieval 2, you can't be constantly producing troops anyway, because the economy system is much less generous than it used to be. So even though, like, you can now pump troops out without screwing over your economic development, you still don't. But to my mind, it just bugs me, because it is nice to actually kind of see the fact that, you know, training large numbers of troops and quickly throwing together armies does have consequences for the size of the territory, which makes sense. You know, if you're constantly taking your citizens and turning them into soldiers and sending them overseas to die in some war somewhere, then it makes sense that your citizens are going to grow slower, because you're literally sending their citizens away to war. But no, that doesn't happen anymore. Now, like, it doesn't matter how many troops you train, the population is static. So, like, I don't know where these troops are coming from. Maybe, like, this is just, like, the population in the city, and you recruit from, like, the wider area or something. Just somehow or other, it doesn't make a difference anymore. So I personally think that's kind of sad. It was a bit of an unfortunate change. Though it does mean that you can no longer do the population migration system from Rome Total War, where I could train peasants in one territory, move them over the border, disband them in that territory, and then dump the population there. Which, while it was useful, I guess it was kind of an exploit, and it was never really intended, so I can see why it's gone, to be honest. It is a shame, though. I think I preferred the system when it was there. But yeah, getting back to Hamburg's population, Hamburg's population is already flipping static and won't be growing, and I can't lower the tax rate to speed it up. I could build some basic farming, but yeah, castles grow very slowly, and their population, like, caps out at, like, probably, like, not more than, like, 10,000-ish or something. Like, they literally only need, like, I think it's 9,000 population, or what is it? Yeah, I can't remember the exact numbers. I think they require 5,000 population to go up to a fortress, which is level 3 of castle, and to be a citadel, which is level 4 of castle, the final level. I think they only need like 9,000. Like, you do not need many people to actually get your castles up, but it's generally quite difficult to do. Again, this is probably another reason why you can't do the population moving around and breaking up in order to move populations anymore, because it would have been too easy for, like, cities with 24,000 people just be constantly churning out crappy little town watchers, throwing them over the border into castles, and using that to bump up the population of castles, so you get your castles up to fortresses and citadels faster than they ought to have been. So I understand why they did it. I just think it's a bit of a shame, because I did like the old system. But yeah, we've got big questions here about what we do with Hamburg. So, you know, we could train a mustering hall, or the beginning of the bow things, or a stables. This building is a stables, by the way. It doesn't matter how many hours you've put into Medieval 2. There's a good chance you've never seen one of these before and you've never built them. The reason stables in this game were really, really weird. Because, yeah, as I kind of touched on last week, just a basic castle just gets some units by default. So it gets, you know, some dismounted Hussars and some Viking raiders and scouts. So you can basically train that many. The max available basically means how many you're allowed to sit ready to be recruited. So after a bit of time's actually gone by, we'll be able to recruit a maximum of 3 Hussars. But then if we were to recruit 3 in one go, as a result of that, we'd have to wait a while for more to start popping in. Whereas if we trained 1 of each, then we'd constantly be able to train like 1 of each turn, if you see what I mean. Basically just means the maximum number that are available in a pool to be recruited in one go. But the thing is, pretty much every castle, like the castle upgrade, overwhelmingly, whatever you could produce in the stables, you already had in the basic castle building. So, say, over here in the castle, I'm allowed to train 3 scouts, which is the type of light cavalry Vikings get. Because Vikings, and I always like this, Vikings get less heavy cavalry than anyone else, but they get way more light cavalry. Most factions, like, don't even get any light cavalry. But yeah, we get fast-moving light cavalry that's like the Equites were in Rome Total War, and they're really flipping useful, but no one else gets them. They can't stand up to heavy cavalry, and we don't get many spearmen, so the Danish do kind of struggle with cavalry a little bit in this game, but it's still nice that we get light cavalry. But the stables that we could also build for 2 turns and 1,200 florins, so, you know, significant investment, lets me have 4 more scouts. So all that does is it means the maximum amount of scouts I'd be allowed to train in a row would go up from 3 to 7. And that's fine if you happen to need to train, like, say, 6 scouts in 2 turns, but how often are you going to need 6 sets of light cavalry in 2 turns? Like, you're not. Ever. So it's always just kind of really, really weird. And it kept kind of happening over and over and over again. So like if I go over to the building browser here, so say if I were to upgrade this place to a fortress in time, then yeah, what happens is I can still train 3 scouts, but I also get to train 3 feudal knights as well, so some proper heavy cavalry. So level 3 stables is actually barren stables at a fortress. Yeah, one thing I did just misspeak about was, yeah, the stables can actually be built at the basic wooden castle. This is already level 2 castle, so I could already have built the stables, and I could also build knight stables here. So I could actually build Huskars, which is somewhat useful because they are unique. They're actually really interesting because they're actually proper horsemen, but with flipping axes rather than lancers. They're actually horsemen that are good against armor, which is really cool. But yeah, actually at the level 3 stables, the barren stables, I can train scouts, Huskars, and feudal knights. So I can invest in 3 levels of stables, and literally the only advantage is I can train these Huskars, which is fine, but like the Huskars I could already have flipping trained out of the lower level of stables. Like basically, stables are, though you get some benefit out of them, they're really, really terrible. Because yeah, basically like 90% of what they're doing, you're already flipping getting out of like the castle and the fortress just for existing. So yeah, before you've even built the stable, the prerequisite building before you can even build that level of stable is giving you pretty much what the stable is going to give you. It's just really bloody weird. Like, maybe you'd have, like, one, like, fortress in your entire empire that's got stables in it because it's got some form of other, like, building that gives, like, advantages to horses. You just train all your horses there. But the vast majority of your castles, you're just not going to want any stables because you're not getting any advantage from them. Still, with only 2 territories, I think I know what I have to do. I have to get some proper infantry going on here. So a basic mustering hall just trains basic peasants, but obviously we can upgrade that a little bit further yet. So let's just get a basic mustering hall built, and then we can build some other stuff. I'd love to get the mines going, because those are silver mines. They're worth a lot of money, but I can't justify it just yet. Right now, I need something that can produce some basic troops. I just need troops to be able to be produced as fast as possible. Can I retrain those? Nope, I can't retrain those guys yet. As soon as some mercenaries do spawn back in, I'll be able to. My merchant up here, I put him on fish last turn. Right now, he's a bean counter and natural born merchant. But there's 2 sets of fish in this area. What I want to do is I want to move him over to the amber, not just because it's worth a little bit more, but also because it's the only amber in this territory. If you give a merchant a monopoly, they've got a good chance of developing a really good perk. And this is what you want to do. You want to train up your merchants. Don't just send them out into the world looking for valuable stuff, because they will get sniped off by other merchants. Basically, merchants can have merchant-on-merchant fights where they compare their, what's it even called? It's technically their finance score. So right now he's 3 out of 10. So merchants can basically just like, they have their own version of basically like assassination, where merchants can de-merchant each other, where it's like they're seizing each other's assets or something. So you really want to be careful of that, because your merchant will get sniped off and it will cost you money. But if you actually train up your merchant up here, and this little area up to the north is an excellent old place just to train up some new merchants. Just train them up here before we send them out into the world, and then we might be in good shape. Because in time, once it gets a bit better, we've got these silver mines here. Those are pretty valuable. And over here, over in kind of near Antwerp area, there's a lot of good valuable stuff. Textiles and dyes and whatever. We'll probably want, ultimately, him to be over there. But only once we're confident he can actually survive over there and won't be sniped off by another merchant. Now, is there anything we actually want to train here? No, we can't train anything in Hamburg yet. Once you've taken over a city, it takes a little while for their pool of stuff to refill. So we can't do anything there right now. We're already trained the mustering hall. Do we need to train anything in our house? No, I think we're okay for now. We don't need boats. We don't need another diplomat. We've already got 1 diplomat, and we've got the princess as well. We might want another diplomat. Literally, their upkeep is 50. Yeah, I'll get another diplomat going on. Why not? Just in case. We'll just start him basically just moving south. The sooner we can get map information of everyone, the better. If only because once you've got map information, the old Rome Total War trick still works, where if I just kind of hold right-click over an area, you can see who currently owns it, even if you actually don't know what's actually happening there right now. You can actually kind of see what's truly going on, because even though, like, you know, if this, say the Imperials took Venice, on the map, you'd still see the Venetian flag, but if I hover over it, then I'd be able to actually see who truly owned it, because that would actually update to be accurate. Still, troops heading in this direction, that's fine. Prince Charles ready to move down to Magdeburg next turn, that's fine as well. He'll hopefully have enough troops to do that at least. And then we've got, yeah, Hamburg is well defended enough. The Imperials really, hopefully, will turn back, otherwise I'm a little bit concerned. If they start a war with us now, then this is going to be a much more aggressive game than I was expecting. Hopefully they'll turn back. And they are... No, they're just standing there. It really concerns me they're just flipping standing there, damn it. Right, let's get my spies down south just to keep an eye on what's going on with the Imperials. We can get... Probably if I get to about here, there's probably a good spot about here. I have eyes on Frankfurt and also down here, because I'd like to kind of properly see this road network fully. Now, Princess gets on the boat, and I take her as far round as I can. I'd like to drop her off, to be honest. I'm not going to kind of risk her being, like, hit by pirates. There's probably not too many pirates around right now. We'll put her back over here. We'll keep the ship here. And then, yeah, we'll be able to take her down to... We've also got eyes on Antwerp. That's the nice thing about her coming in this direction. We actually have eyes on the rebel settlements. And look at Antwerp. Antwerp is well flipping guarded. You did not find, like, any rebel territories in Rome Total War which had this many flipping troops in them. So some of these territories are really well defended. They're not just, like, you know, crappy little rebel territories. They're probably, like, little independent city-states that want to stay that way, damn it. Now, that damaged spear militia needs to head back up north. He can go and be retrained at our house in, yeah, 1 turn when that's done. My mustering hall's done. That means now the garrison quarters become available. So in 2 turns, I can start training Viking Raiders here. Viking Raiders, pretty damn good. Attack 9, defense 9, effective against armor. So pretty damn good at chopping through armor indeed. So yeah, those guys are well worth having. Plus upkeep 155, not so bad at all. So I'd say we definitely want to have the garrison quarters. Because at the moment at least we've got enough like indirect fire troops just as our starting things. So I'm just going to, yeah, get those guys in production right now. So we can have some Viking Raiders. Prince Charles can make it down to Magdeburg this turn. Nice and easy. Though we don't actually know what's awaiting him there. Do I want him to build another? Yeah, I'm going to build another watchtower here. Not sure that really gave us much of an advantage, but let's have 2 of them. Because, yeah, the forest kind of blocked their line of sight, so 2 here is safe just in case. And he can make it to this territory immediately. Lovely. Can you join up with him? I think you just can. Yes, you can. Marvellous. Now, we didn't have a spy here, so we actually need to properly fight this one. Do you notice that even though this is a basic wooden castle, even then, it's got, like, some proper defences. I mean, that's the nice thing about Hamburg. It's actually kind of like, it's like the mid-tier of castle, because there's, I think I misspoke last time, there's Motte and Bailey, then there's wooden, then there's the basic stone castle, which is what Hamburg is, then you've got the fortress, then you've got the citadel. So there's actually 5 levels. I kind of forgot wooden castle even flipping existed. But, like, straight away, you have to get straight into flipping siege towers and whatever. And this is what was really good about Medieval 2, which is wall fighting comes in at a lower level. In Rome Total War, you didn't do wall fighting, so there were stone walls on level 3 cities. That changes in Medieval 2. I think it's level 2 onwards, wooden castles and wooden wall towns, there's wall fighting there. So wall fighting happens way more often and way earlier in the game, which is great, because wall fighting's great fun, and also really flipping difficult. So probably what I want to do is I'm going to need at least 1 ram, and I want 1 siege tower, and then I want the rest to be ladders. Is that going to be enough? 1 siege tower, 2 ladders, and a ram. That will probably be enough if there's only 4 troops, yes. We've got, it's also town militia, fine. So nowhere near as tough as the spear militia, we can handle that, yes, that'll be acceptable. So we'll take care of them next turn without too much difficulty. So that's all, yeah, that's all as it should be. I can also, if I want to, recruit, no, that's just the mercenary crossbowman. Now, my diplomat continues his journey over here to go and find Poland. Poland, potentially good allies to have against the Imperials, but again, really, the Imperials, it's like going to be the major European powers are going to determine what the shape of Europe's going to be. And particularly, I'm talking about France and the Holy Roman Empire. Whoever they decide to, like, you know, start wars with and so forth, that's going to kind of impact who I need to ally with. Because what I really would love is Imperials taking on the French. If they get stuck in a war versus each other for a long time, that'd be great, so I'll keep them both distracted. But, like, especially how the English and the Spanish and, say, the Venetians get involved, it's going to depend on, like, who I want my allies to be. Because I don't want to go, like, sending out offers of alliance to anyone just yet. Because until I know what the shape of, like, Europe's going to form up in, and that's not going to be decided by me, it's going to be decided by the big European powers, I can't really decide who the most sensible person to ally with. Because if I ally with the wrong person immediately, and they get pulled straight into a war against someone I don't want to be in a war with, then I might find myself in a really, really uncomfortable situation I do not want to be in at all. Still, I think that's actually all we can do this turn, because, yeah, for the moment at least, for the first few turns, not that much happens. We're just trying to, you know, get our basic troops all set out here. You often find this in Medieval 2, by the way. I find it quite interesting. To my mind, less stuff happens per turn. That doesn't mean it's a slower game. You just end turns a lot more quickly. Mainly because the economy's a lot smaller, you can't have so many armies running all around the world. So generally, less stuff happens per turn, you move turns a lot more quickly, so time passes more quickly. Another interesting thing is, you may notice, like, there was snow on the ground last turn, now there's not. So you might assume, like, it's now the summer after the winter. It's actually not. The game skips forward 2 years each turn. So, hang on, so right now we're already up to, yeah, even though it's only turn 3, we're already up to 1084. So what we just experienced last turn was winter of 1082, now it's summer of 1084. So they kept the snow into sun alternating thing from Rome Total War, which works nicely for me because I want to be fighting in snow because lots of my troops get combat bonuses in snow. But yeah, they kind of also added in the time goes past much quicker. Because in Rome Total War, the whole game took place in about 200 years. Whereas in Medieval 2, they want the game to take place over more like 500 years. So they have to speed the clock up, but they wanted to keep the snow thing in. So for whatever reason, you get to kind of skip between summer of 1 year to winter of 2 years later. So I don't know, maybe there just wasn't snow the previous 2 years and they really want to just have a nice white Christmas or something. It's rather odd, but it all kind of vaguely makes sense. But you can vaguely see some like compromises from the Rome Total War system being mashed into new ideas they wanted to introduce in Medieval 2. Now, is this a better agent? No, this is another flipping dogmatic beliefs agent. I've had like 2 terrible agents in a row. That's really annoying. Right, you just start heading south. Because basically, yeah, I want agents heading in every direction. Because obviously, we're not just finding cities. We're also going to find other agents. Because diplomats can negotiate with princesses for trade rights and map information. The princesses actually have a lot of diplomatic and political freedom. Princesses who are wandering around looking for a husband are also perfectly allowed to actually arrange trade rights and give away the location of all their home cities. Much of it they're supposed to do that, but they just sort of do. But yep, I think that's all we can do now. Let's just end this turn to see what happens. And please, Imperials, naff off. Go on. Shoo. Shoo with you. Nope, they are determined to just stand there, damn it. So first up, we've got a suitable prince. Once again, someone wants to marry Ingrid. We'll constantly be getting that. He's 21, he's pretty damn good, so that's nice. But it would take a more spectacular trait than that to make me give up Ingrid when I wanted to be going around. The thing is, as she gets more and more charming, there's actually advantages to the actual man she ends up marrying. So, for example, if we make her into a really, really charming princess, when we eventually marry someone, he will then immediately get, like, beautiful wife trait or something, which gives him advantages. So, basically, we want her to be as good as possible before we marry her off, because then she'll pass on benefit to whoever she marries, which is really, really useful. Now, pop her back in the ship, although, hang on, do we have anything else first? Nope, that's just telling us the town guard is done. Lovely. We're actually losing money each turn right now. We need to be careful. Fortunately, the deficit doesn't matter so much because, yes, indeed, we will have this territory this turn. And since we have this territory, we'll get 2,500 off our nobles. You are... No, you're not a monopolist yet, so I'm going to leave you up there till you pick up that trait if you can. That'd be great. Ah! With Town Guard done, you pop in here and we will be able to retrain him. Lovely, so he's now retrained. Now, one thing you may notice that's just changed here over at our house, these 2 guys, the Spear Militia, have actually just suddenly gained a blue background as opposed to the grey background. That means they are now technically part of the garrison. This is a nice new system that was introduced in Medieval 2 and I really, really like it. Basically, if a troop can be trained in a territory, you're allowed to keep it as a garrison unit, which basically means its upkeep cost is 0. So it says 125 there, but because it's blue, it actually has no garrison cost. Because it literally says free upkeep while garrisoned down there when I hover over it. So right now I'm not paying for those troops. The amount of troops you're allowed to garrison is determined by the walls. So the wooden wall says number of free upkeep units 3. So as a result, I could have another Spear Militia here as well. And as for which units are allowed to be garrison units, it's whatever you're allowed to train at that settlement. Though I think siege equipment like artillery doesn't count. I think it has to actually be something you train that's an actual unit, not a bit of artillery. But correct me if I'm wrong, I don't think it's allowed to be artillery. Another thing that was really, really nice in Medieval 2, by the way, walls being built separately no longer exists. That does not happen anymore. Because in Rome Total War, if you wanted to like move your city up to level 3, you had to build the level 3 government building, then the level 3 walls if you wanted stone walls. Walls and the government building are now basically one and the same thing. So when this settlement gets up to 6,000 population, then at that point I can actually kind of immediately upgrade it. It will gain stone walls and it will gain the equivalent of the government building. Now, I also want this place growing, so I'm going to go for land clearance next. Because yeah, land clearance is actually a pretty damn good way of making some really damn solid money. Because that is, yeah, an extra 40 florins a turn. Very, very welcome indeed. So I'm going to go for land clearance down here. We've already got this thing going over here. We need to move our princess further around as well. So back with Admiral John. And of course, we can now move her much, much further. We'll also pass by, yep, we pass by Bruges there as well. We don't need to bother making sure over here in Britain, because we will, hang on, just kind of keep you moving around in this direction, because the British also have Calais down here already, so that's fine. So we'll just dump her off over here, and she'll be able to go and find Calais momentarily, and that will be lovely. Now, we can probably send the ship home at this point because, yeah, she can now speak to the English. She'll find some French people around here. Probably the Spanish have some diplomats or princesses around here, so she can go and find those as well. So that's plenty of people to chat to. We don't really need the ship anymore, so we'll send that home. Now, can I get my spy into the position I want him to be in here? Come on, no, that's the opposite of good. Now you can't see either town. There we go, that's the exact right position. It feels like from here he shouldn't be able to see Nuremberg, but now, yeah, this is the exact spot I want him to be in. So now he's got a good line of sight over in this direction. direction. He can see Frankfurt and troops that are coming out of that. He's got a good line of sight down this road. He can see down to Nuremberg. He'll see big stuff coming up. I'm also vaguely hoping this largish... Ooh, that's Imperial Knights. Those guys are flipping tough. They're really tough. Yeah, rebel armies in this game, they weren't messing around. The garrisons you'll find in rebel towns can sometimes be really tough, and the rebel armies that generate can often be, in terms of technology terms, way better than anything you can train, which raises question as to where they came from, but whatever, it just is a thing. Right, let's take this town nice and quickly. So, Prince Charles, good command, and we've got plenty of these guys as well. Yeah, it's just going to be 2 town militia and 1 bunch of peasant archers on the wall. Should be fine, and some mailed knights inside, but we've got a ton of spearmen with me. They won't be a problem. So, here we are, a wooden castle. Yeah, you can see here, there's an argument for saying that in some ways this is actually an easier one to actually defend. You can actually put your archers up on the high ground and get some nice high ground advantages from some nice kind of bowmen over here, shooting over here. Also, this is supposed to be a wooden castle. Can't help but notice there's quite a bit that's made out of stone, but what have you, I guess. This sort of town obviously looks a lot more familiar to you in terms of Rome Total War, because yeah, the next step up the stone castle is a huge increase. Like, you'll notice here, there's a bunch of like pretty nice, safe, open space I can bring my ladders over to, for example, on this side of the town. Whereas the stone castle we took over at Hamburg, yeah, that wasn't really so much of a thing. What I think I'm going to do here is, what do I want to do here? It kind of depends where they start off, to be honest. And by the way, why are my archers on the flipping ram? Off that, you guys. Can't flipping retrain you guys yet. We need to keep you guys safe. Admittedly, sending my actual kind of Norse archers up to deal with the walls is actually not a bad idea, because they are by far my best infantry at the minute. But no, we're not going to do that. Spear militia, this is your job. Now, bear in mind, not even all these wall defences are necessarily going to actually be turned on. Whether they're on or not depends on whether or not troops are actually standing nearby. So I'm going to start the battle, and I may rearrange my kind of equipment accordingly. So start off here. What have we got? We've got peasant archers standing on this bit of the wall right here. And then behind them, we've got town militia and the actual mailed knights. So, and we've also got over here some town militia. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually bring these guys around here to take on these guys. And these guys around here to take on these guys as well. And then we're basically going to have most of the fight over here, approaching the town militia. There's arguably not much point even approaching the archers, but I suppose, you could say it's worth it just to keep them busy, but probably if I did, I'd want to approach from this sort of angle, because if I approach my ladders to here, then as a result, this tower is not currently active. This tower is. That'll save me a bit of firepower. So I'm just going to let those guys go where I asked them to go. And as soon as they're done with that, then I'll actually kind of get all of them moving in together. Yeah, that's fine. Now, remind me, I'm trying to remember now, in Medieval 2, what level of firepower exists on each of these towers. Because I'm not sure whether this tower even has any actual firepower to it. Like in Rome Total War, we got a bit too close to a tree there. I think we're stuck in a tree. Right. You guys, go over there. You guys, go over here. And you guys can start heading over here. Lovely. No need to send the ram in just yet. We might well be able to win the walls and drive them back without even bothering. But yeah, this nice siege tower will be able to proceed nice and safely because there's no towers to shoot at it. Apart from this tower back here, which I'm not sure, it might actually... Technically, they do actually have things like... this is nothing that actually changed. In Rome Total War, you'd very often find, like, towers only, like, faced outwards under some basic settlements or, like, you know, faced inwards but not sideways. But no, in Medieval 2, it's fairly common that, like, towers around cities have, like, little things they can spit out of on all 4 sides. So there's an excellent chance this guy will be able to attack these guys over here in time. So siege towers coming up over here up to the walls. But yeah, these guys, mercenary spearmen, will be... Oh yeah, hang on. What's attacking them? I'm pretty sure that's the archers attacking you, isn't it? Yeah, the archers are totally going to be attacking you. Something is spitting over there. Yep, that flipping tower over there is spitting fire arrows at these guys. So I'm thinking that automatically stops the moment we actually get over to the walls. These guys now start climbing up. Lovely. So as soon as these guys actually hit the walls, these guys will do a really good job murdering these guys. You guys are going to be fine climbing up as well. So you two are going to slaughter these guys pretty quickly. But these guys are potentially in a bit more trouble because, yeah, they're being shot by the archers, unfortunately. So I want them to get up as quickly as possible. They actually might lose that fight versus the archers, which is embarrassing. We'll see, but this might be kind of just a demonstration of how very tough it is to crack towns and castles in particular in Medieval 2 Total War, because, yeah, there was the real problem that these flipping wall defences just would not flipping stop. So you guys, quick as you like, get up there. We're already down to 112. Like, in a straight-up fight, obviously Spear Militia easily take archers. But with this thing spitting out the side at the troops as they come up constantly, it's going to be much more of an even fight. Now, these troops coming over here and taking out these guys, and these guys are going to do exactly the same. These guys are already shaking, so of course 2 separate units are attacking them, and it's basically a bit of a mismatch. These guys are going to do a very, very good job killing these town militia. So let's instead draw our attention over here. And you guys need to come over here and... a town militia has actually come up onto the walls to support. Now, spear militia are technically superior to town militia, but the problem is they outnumber us, and we've got... yeah, this thing is just going to keep spitting at us all flipping day. So this unit is almost... this unit's already wavering. Like, this is how flipping tough it is to take the walls. This is a superior unit to this and to this. But just because, yeah, the wall defences just will never, ever stop. And that didn't happen in Rome Total War, of course. In Rome Total War, the wall defences would have faced this way and then forwards in kind of, even on like a level 3 city. This is a level 2 city, and even then, the wall defences now shoot sideways and never stop shooting. But on the advantage, we do actually have these guys. Even though they are currently wavering and think they'll break any second, they'll probably actually stand up longer than you'd think they will, just because in Medieval 2, things are much, much slower to break. So how are we doing here, by the way? We've got... you guys are... yeah, you're shaken. Despite the fact that 2 vastly superior units are tearing them apart, these guys are technically shaken, not actually even wavering yet, which is remarkable. There we go. That's wavering and they've just broken now. That's marvellous. Now, in which case, you guys need to actually get over here and start helping out. So you, get over here and take out these peasant archers. Because if these guys on 69 who are wavering right now can just hold a little bit longer, then as a result, yeah, we might actually be able to get over here, take these archers out of the game, and then we might be able to surround this town militia. So yeah, this town militia is actually over to shaken now. These guys who have been wavering all this time are still fighting. Units in Medieval 2 just will not break. Or at least not from just like day-to-day combat. And most of the time they just refuse to do it. So we've got our first units coming up here, coming over here, coming through here. And these guys are going to just utterly... oh, you just stabbed that guy in the chest. Yeah, absolutely. These guys are going to be utterly torn apart by my mercenary spearmen. Finally! Finally, this guy is actually flipping routing, and rather than fighting to the death, he will actually now make his way back down the ladders. That was a nice thing that actually happened. I think it happened sometimes in Rome Total War, but for the most part, anything that broke on the walls would just fight to the death and not bother retreating. These guys will actually retreat back down however they arrived, which is kind of cool. Now, I would say actually, we need reinforcements. So, I'm going to take these guys off the ram. I'm going to send these guys up to here as quickly as possible. So now we're going to have ourselves my mercenary guys. They are eager. They will stand and fight for quite a while. But yeah, now with the downside, unfortunately, now that the peasant archers have turned to us, these guys have activated. These towers are now on. Guys, why are you not... guys, hurry it up, please. I want you to take on these guys. Get on it. There we go. They seem to be in a bit more of a hurry now. Lovely. Now, you'll also notice, by the way, that towers are allowed to just fire in any number of directions that they flipping want at any given moment. So, this tower is firing forwards and sideways simultaneously to actually attack multiple units at once. So these guys have also taken a fair bit of a battering. They've lost 10 men already, but they're coming up here, and they'll be able to surround these guys. And as soon as these guys are actually surrounded, I think they'll break. And as soon as they break, they're not allowed to be holding a tower anymore, which is quite useful. Peasant archers are... I think they're trying to retreat, but they're not doing very well at it. Right, you guys, come up here, and yep, now, get into these guys. Once they're surrounded, I'm hoping these guys will break immediately. Okay, upper hand seems to finally be ours. I think we've pretty much driven these guys off the wall at this point. Lovely. So, peasant archers, routing. I think the militia's fallen back as well. Lovely. The walls are as good as ours. But you can see there, the losses are really, really flipping significant. Even superior troops, vastly superior troops like these mercenary spearmen, they took a lot of damage. And irritatingly, the peasant archers are actually getting the odd shot in on my troops at the walls. That's not very nice of them. Right, I need to bring my own archers up onto the walls, because yeah, I can use the inside of the walls to my advantage as a high ground to shoot down from. But actually, you know what? You, my good man, my leader, you get in here and help out. Because you can just quickly charge these guys and do a little bit of damage to them. Keep them busy while I get my own archers into position. Right, general's troops all lined up inside the town. We might even be able to get a charge off here. We've got a little bit of a run off and these guys are holding still. So, you guys all about right? Give it a go. Let's see if we can get the lancers down. Come on, you've got a bit of a run up. You've got a bit of a run up here. Come on. That's right. No. Charge, damn it. Give it a charge. That's right, charge. Charge, and yep, Lancer's down for once, and that's going to do a lot of good flipping damage to these guys. Lovely. Right, pull them back at that point. That's all I needed you to do. I didn't need to actually kind of get involved in any more than that. I'm very happy for now my general to pull back. How much damage did you just do to the archers? Yeah, you just took out like 25 of them in one go. Very nice. Now I'm going to pull my general back out of this area because very soon my archers should actually be up there. I'm very happy for him to just kind of push forward with his Meld Knights. We don't really care, to be honest. Back out of the city we go. Back out of the city we go. Now, momentarily, yep, we should have a shot at... Why are you guys not up on the walls yet? I told you to be up on the walls. Also, they decided to follow me outside on this occasion. That's fine. You know what? You know what? That's fine. You just take out these guys. I'm just going to lead his Meld Knights in this direction, and then you can just get yourselves a shot at him. So you've both got shots at him right now. Yep, fine. Lovely. Right now. King, get over here. Take those guys out. You shoot these guys in the back, please. You've got all of this firepower. That will actually do a very good amount of damage. They will probably break pretty... Oh, yeah. They will actually break pretty quickly, because the old shooting them in the back while someone's pinning them thing still works very, very nicely. Oh, no. No, no. He's going for the archers. No, you absolute utter git. Stop him. Actually, you know what? They can hold their own. Oh, I've just lost some flipping Norse archers. I hate you so much. Screw you, and screw you. I'm going to murder you so flipping much. There we are. We're going to take out those guys. Oh, I've lost like a load of Norse archers. That's so annoying. But on the plus side, yeah, these guys, they will stand up. You were supposed to be getting up on the walls. I told you, up on the flipping walls. No, not shooting. Not shooting. Climbing ladders. Go on, up you pop. Right, my general back inside the city walls. Now can get another charge into the peasant archers. My archers over this side have managed to figure out I want them up on the walls, which is nice. Now, guys, go on, guys, come on, come on, come on, come on. Go for a nice charge here. Watch your general, by the way. You can literally look at him and see whether he's injured or not based on how bloodied he is. And this time you haven't got a good charge in. Those guys have broken immediately, which is fine, because that means we can cut them down pretty quickly. Get their numbers out of the way. There's a town militia there. Is that also a town militia? Why are you guys standing so much further apart? You've just decided you want to be. Right. Get the general back out of here. Now, you guys are, yeah, now we've got archers up on the inside of the walls. They might well decide to pursue. If they do, we can now just start shooting them from the walls and everything's fine. So you guys, yep, they're now in range. So now I've got archers up on the walls. Lovely. So now my archers on the walls can now do a really good job getting rid of those guys. You guys get out of the way of the archers, please. If you're really brave, by the way, you kind of wanted to get your king injured, because if your king got a bit bloodied, he'd often pick up things like scarred or something in battle, which would actually mean he had more hit points in future, and he'd also gain like bravery traits and stuff as well. So having your king being injured but not dead, i.e. he appears bloody but doesn't actually die, is actually a really good way of picking up some really, really positive traits, but it was a really, really high-risk strategy. Right, got on my archers inside the town at this point. Now we can just start peppering these guys like crazy. Over here, yeah. Now this town militia is just going to be torn apart very, very quickly indeed. Beautiful. They don't even dare advance. Now, looking at this, you might assume archers are still ridiculously powerful on the way to go. No. Basically, they did actually figure out, when they looked at Rome Total War, that archers were ludicrously overpowered. They came up with a solution, which is there's a lot of units in this game that have a stupidly large amount of armor that archers basically, they can just shoot them all day and it will barely make a dent. Like, dismounted knights, archers just can't do much to be honest. So archers aren't quite as good as they used to be. There are crossbowmen who are effective against armor, but they're very slow to fire and reload, so they've also got a bit balanced as well. Basically, you couldn't just go all archers anymore. Arguably, you could with England, because they had like special, really strong powers and effective versus armor, and they had stakes they could lay on the ground. And England is a really, really fun campaign. I think we just won, by the way.
All civilized peoples will be awed by the victory we have won here today.
Yeah, we definitely just won. But just those flipping casualties to the infantry, it's really, really severe. But luckily, since we take this place, we should end up with 2,500 gold. And of course, occupy it. Don't actually flipping burn it to the ground or anything. And hopefully, we should now get this guy start to be... Yes, he's now getting a little bit chivalrous. Nice. Noble in rule, the people smile upon a ruler who puts their support behind noble projects and tasks. Beautiful. And now if we go over to the settlement details, we can see there that we've got plus 5% to public order and also plus 5% to population growth because he's all chivalry-y. So we definitely want him to be as chivalry-y as possible. So trait increase, noble in rule, mission success, got 2,500 florins, enemy army routes, well of course it does, it's a bloody city, that's what they do. And on this occasion, we can indeed immediately retrain our mercenary spearmen, because there must have been a new one that's just kind of regenerated that I could hire if I stepped outside. No, there's no mercenary spearmen you to hire here, just the crossbowmen. But the game is keeping track of how many mercenary spearmen are slowly being built up into a pool that once full will represent a new spearman you can hire. So right now I can figure out that actually there's enough spearmen out of the total unit side, I think it's 120, 150, enough basically to retrain one of these two units, but not both. So I may as well retrain the 94 strength one, and then yeah, a little bit later once that pool refills in like a turn or two, I'll be able to retrain these guys as well, but right now there's not enough spearmen. And that would probably mean, I imagine, there's probably enough floating around in... No, right now in Hamburg, there's not enough spearmen in that pool that's filling up, but there will be, given enough time. Now, of course, we want to get basic dirt roads here. Roads are always a good idea, so we can actually move around at a decent pace. And once that's done, we can basically, if we want to, immediately upgrade this to a castle. There's nothing to stop you upgrading castles pretty bloody quickly. Like, when you take over a Motte and Bailey castle, pretty much you can upgrade it into, like, a wooden castle and then, like, a stone castle pretty bloody quickly. It just costs a lot of money. Like, 2,400, that's a really big cost. But bear in mind, you're not just getting the castle, you're also basically getting the free ability to train dismounted Huskars, Viking Raiders, and Scouts. So some decent light cavalry, and two pretty damn solid units of infantry. So you're getting quite a bit out of that. It's not just basically increasing its size, you're getting a lot of improved defences, and you're getting basically some free training facilities thrown in as well. Meanwhile, over in Hamburg, we've finally gained the ability to actually produce ourselves some of these new units that can be trained out of the castle, because their pool is finally refilled. So I can only train one of each. So yeah, it tells you how many turns to the next available unit. So in 2 turns, that will go up to 2. So even if I don't train that guy now, in 2 turns time, I'd be able to train 2 of him in one go. But you know what? Having some light cavalry, good idea. I will totally have myself some scouts. So some proper fast-moving light cavalry to chase things down. Albeit, don't forget, a little bit on the expensive side, but not as expensive as like proper heavy cavalry. Heavy cavalry in this game is amazing, but again, doesn't work so well in cities. Really, really flipping expensive. That's how they made cavalry work in this game. That, yeah, the cavalry that's really amazing, it really needs a good damn run-up. Its charge is really situational. Oftentimes will just fail if it doesn't have a big open field to work along. And sometimes, like, just making it turn a corner will just screw them up and they won't be able to do their charge properly anymore. And I'm pretty sure that's by design, not just by accident. But, yeah, light cavalry is much cheaper, but obviously isn't anywhere near as effective. But certainly I will take some of these guys. How expensive are you guys? Not so bad. I think it's probably worth having some dismounted Huskars just so we've got some proper heavy infantry. Just, yeah, that will be worth having. Let's just have all of you. Let's have a proper army ready to go. Sooner or later we'll head in this direction towards Antwerp. And yeah, there's some tough armies to crack in this part of the world. I'm also just going to move the peasants down a little bit too. There's no point the peasants being here because peasants, because they can't be trained at our house because it's a town, and peasants can be trained at a castle, may as well move them down to Hamburg, have a decent sized army here. And also, bear in mind, the nice thing is, of course, just like in Rome Total War, peasants are sometimes more effective than others. Like, you know, really soft, squishy Italian peasants are pretty bloody useless. But peasants from mighty Viking stock, they'll actually do a not terrible job. They'll do alright, quite frankly. You know, attack 4, it's not spectacular, but to be honest, like flipping, hang on, let's just go over to a flipping town watch over here in an actual town. This is an actual military unit. Their attack is only 5. So peasants can reasonably go toe-to-toe with flipping town militia. Though I have just taken a risk here. So we need to also talk about one thing that was new in Medieval 2 quickly, which is loyalty and authority. Because, yeah, the stats that generals have now changed quite significantly. You probably noticed that, I probably should mention it. So back in Rome, you had command, you had management, and you had influence. Command for how good you were at fighting, management for how much money you could make in towns, influence for how much people and towns specifically liked you. In Medieval 2, they changed that round. They kept command, but everything else was thrown out. So basically, everyone has the chivalry and the dread rating. I've already gone into that. Basically, it affects morale in battle, but chivalry in particular is also useful for making towns grow faster, and it also affects order in cities. Loyalty is the chance that someone will either defect or be purchased, etc. Like back in Rome Total War, that was just inside traits. You just kind of have traits like dubious or incredibly loyal or something. That's now its own little meter at the top, because loyalty is now a much bigger part of the game than it used to be. And loyalty is also tied to authority. If you're the faction leader, you don't have a loyalty meter, you have an authority meter, which basically means how good are you at keeping people under control. Faction leaders fundamentally get +2, but other than that, they need to actually flipping earn it, which means probably King Canoodle over here, he probably ought to head out into the world and start doing some stuff sooner rather than later. Because him just sitting up there, even though he's making a tiny bit of extra money over in our house, it's not going to do him much good. He's not going to get better. If his authority is low, and a general's loyalty is low, then there's an excellent chance that general might jump ship, go rebel, or be easily bribable by another faction. Low authority also obviously increases the chance that units will just go rebel. So this unit of peasants, this was actually a bit of a risk now I think about it, because unfortunately, because it's just one captain, just one crappy unit, there's not a terrible chance he'll just go rebel rather than actually staying loyal, because the king doesn't really have much authority and he's just a cheap little crappy thing. So it's possible that was a mistake. We'll have to keep an eye on that to see what happens. But you know what? I do see the advantage of the king heading down to Hamburg. If there's the risk of an actual fight happening there, he should head down in that direction. So you go down to Hamburg, manage the troops there. Hopefully, these flipping Imperials naff off soon. Still, that's 3 cities now under control, or rather 1 city and 2 castles. So economically, this empire is not great, because you don't want more castles than you've got cities. Really, you want as many cities as possible and as few castles as you can get away with. I might turn my attention to Stettin next, not because I really so much want to have it, as I don't want anyone else to have it, but we do need to consider, yeah, whether we want to start making a play for Prague, whether we want to go and pick up Stockholm and Oslo up north, now this might be a good opportunity to do that, or whether we want to make a play over here towards Antwerp, which again could be a sensible move, but does have a risk that that leaves us with a very wide border. Because if I take these cities over here, and I take this city over here, then the Danish border is like wobbly, 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 wobbly round here. So I'll have borders with Britain and France, and the Imperials, and the Polish. And that is risky, because I've only got so much army. I'd be a small empire, sharing borders with much bigger, tougher empires, so that is a risk. That is a significant risk. But that's all we can do this turn for now, because I'm now actually training some flipping troops in Hamburg, and we've got the faction leader present. So let's get that underway, see what happens next, because I'm kind of hoping at some point someone else will begin a war of some description. Oh, thank goodness he's finally flipping leaving. Good, good, good. Right, the Imperial troops are leaving. They've got something else to take care of. Probably the massive rebel armies. What have we got here? Skilled bureaucrats. He's actively disloyal. Yeah, would you believe that guy's going to betray us at some point? So no, we definitely decline that. So you want, you know what? 2,500 florins takes Stettin. That's nice. Let's just keep our guy moving in this direction. And I think we can see, yep, we've got ourselves a border with Poland there. Very nice. And anything else major? No, just the recruitment report. New missions, we know about that. Fine. In which case, Ingrid can finally start doing her job. So there's going to be somewhere around here, there's an English city, alright? I know it's here. I know it's flipping it. There it is. Can you make it this turn? Come on, make it this turn. Yes, just lovely. So, the English and the Danish are now roughly comparable sizes, which is nice. And they've got, actually, they'll probably have taken York by now, so they probably have 4 territories. So we're probably fair to offer them trade rights.
It's good to see we could reach an agreement.
Yep, Robert is happy with that, and now we can probably offer map information for map information. That's balanced because they don't know much more than us.
This seems quite reasonable.
Marvellous, so we've offered him 2 things. He's walking away pleased, and I've got everything that I want. I probably could offer these guys an alliance, and they'd take it and consider it generous. I don't want to do that in case they're about to pull me into a war. So leave that for now, and more importantly, that's also given me some information about the location of some French stuff, which the British already have eyes on. So I now know about the British cities, and yes, indeed, they have taken York already. Lovely. That's normally England's first move, to be honest, up there. Then we've got Scotland up here in Edinburgh. I'm not sure I've got eyes on that yet. And yeah, basically, whether Scotland actually survives the first, few turns of the game pretty much depends on whether or not they successfully take Inverness, because they've got a castle up here in the form of Inverness. If Scotland fails to take it, then it's so easy for England to just basically build a ballista in London, send it north, then just take Edinburgh, and that's it. Scotland's out of cities, they're automatically knocked out of the game. But if Scotland do take Inverness, then generally they can survive a little bit longer, they're in better shape. But yeah, Scotland, if you just get lucky, you can knock them out in one go, because they start with only 1 city, and sometimes they fluff picking up their next city. So, it doesn't always go desperately well for them, to be honest. Right, lots of stuff has been finished, and our money's going to start running out really damn quickly here, though I can get this place straight up to a drill square. This is where things get nice and interesting for the Danish. Obviously, we've already got our dismounted Huskars and Viking Raiders. Norse Swordsman. Total defense 18, attack 11. Very, very nice indeed. And also, surprisingly cheap, actually. 150 upkeep for some pretty damn solid infantry. So that's definitely worth considering, but probably we need to start considering getting some actual indirect fire as well. So I'm going to suggest we actually build a little kind of basic bow place here, and that gets us peasant archers. So let's build that. Actually, you know what? No. Next, now we've got some decent infantry set up, build the silver mines. 2 turns, 2,000, but it will like make back its money in like 8 turns, and then we're in pure profit. That's worth doing. As for Magdeburg, however, that's an interesting one. How's its religion, by the way? Overwhelmingly Catholic, that's fine, 85% Catholic, so we don't need to hurry and build a chapel. You can build religious buildings in towns. That also kind of makes areas more Catholic, or more, rather, the religion, whatever it is. So for pretty much all of Northern Europe, it's going to be Catholic. But there's going to be plenty of priests and whatever floating around. We don't need to worry about that. The Pope likes it when you build chapels and whatever. Yeah, we should probably talk about the Pope. So the Pope is down here in Rome. We'll probably run into him pretty darn soon. The thing is, what he really, really likes is crusades, and we'll have one of those at some point. What he really, really hates is Catholics waging war against each other. Like, he gets really, really flipping annoyed at Catholics that wage war on each other, and he'll take sides and he'll try and vaguely influence the result. But on the other hand, what he does like is you training more priests, building churches, building big churches. In particular, he loves big churches being built. In fact, he'll particularly like you if you're kind of one of the first people to build a proper cathedral, so that's actually something worth considering kind of rushing to. In fact, actually, that might actually be worth having a think about, potentially. Potentially, I could say our house could be, our goal could be to get that up to a cathedral, because, yeah, he really, really likes it if you're the first, like, Catholic society to build a cathedral and then a grand cathedral in a large and then huge city, respectively. So that's worth thinking about, because having the Pope on side is a very, very good idea, because it means he'll kind of look the other way if you need to wage war against a Catholic neighbour, and if someone declares war on you, then they are screwed and in trouble and potentially excommunicated. Because right now, if 2 Catholics go to war, he'll basically say, no, cut it out. And he'll basically issue an ultimatum, which is, don't attack this faction again, or I'm going to be really annoyed at you. And really annoyed can ultimately mean straight up excommunication. If you're excommunicated, then that's very, very bad, because you've got basically an unhappiness penalty across your whole empire, and basically anyone who wants to declare war at you can do so without any penalties from the Pope, and there's even a risk that like a crusade could be called against you to bring one of your cities back into the grace of God by virtue of having someone take it over. That one you barely ever see, so you don't need to worry about that too much. But the fact that anyone can attack you without consequence when normally the Pope could be used as a bit of a shield against them, that is a concern and something to be worried about. So you want to keep the Pope on side as far as you can. At some point in the game when you get strong enough, you're going to want to briefly just like ignore the Pope and just go on a war and like seize a whole bunch of cities and knock another faction out, and you can make it up to the Pope later. Because like, you know, you can feed him enough money, or if need be, potentially change the Pope. That's a long way down the line, but to my mind, like, I really like the Pope system. Like, if you're not gaming him properly, then it can get a bit frustrating. It just feels like he's stopping you from waging wars. But like, it works a lot better than the Senate system in Rome Total War, because the Senate didn't really have any teeth. To be honest, the Senate couldn't really do anything to you. They could advise you to do things, and they could kind of incentivize you with little bits of money, but like, by like turn 20 or 30 in Rome Total War, nothing the Senate could threaten you with or kind of gift you really mattered, so there wasn't much point listening to them anymore. Whereas the Pope remains a threat. Like, even once you become a major empire and the major power of Europe, even then, the risk of everyone else turning against you and being united against you and being able to attack you freely without consequence, that's still a big enough concern that you want to at least keep the Pope in mind and try and keep him on side. So yeah, I like the Pope system. It's very, very good indeed. This is why our priest is actually labelled as a cardinal, by the way, rather than a priest. Right now, I think like every Catholic power in Europe starts off with one priest who is a cardinal, i.e. part of the Cardinals' College. Now, the 3 most holy cardinals, whenever the Pope gets around to dying, get nominated to become the new Pope. Then everyone votes on who the new Pope should be. And then diplomacy starts getting involved. I should mention, by the way, I have modded this game. Because there is actually a bug in this game. Sorry, I should have mentioned this in the first part, but I forgot to do it. There is a bug in Medieval 2 Total War, which basically means it was kind of a bit of like leftover code from Rome Total War that was actually wrong. For some reason, they never patched it, and not many people know about this. Basically, yeah, because they built this game like on top of Rome Total War, so there's still a bit of like old remnant code floating around in it. And one of the things that actually went wrong was what's supposed to happen in the game is if you do chivalrous things, if you spare lots of cities, people are supposed to like you. But there's something wrong in one of the actual files back end that basically means it doesn't matter what you do, eventually everyone ends up hating you, and in fact everyone ends up hating literally everyone in the entire game. So, which is why if you've played this game, you may notice that like eventually everyone just like despises you and everyone just goes to war with everyone else without really caring about it. It's literally, there's a mathematical error in the game code that causes that to happen. There's a patch, I will link to it in the description below, that basically fixes it. That means people are less likely to go to war if you do nice things. People are more likely to honour their alliances, they're more happy to make alliances, and if you act in an honourable way, they're more likely to be nice to you, whereas if you're a dick to everyone, they're more likely to actually go around and eventually attack you. So actually it does raise the possibility of, even if you're doing very well, if you decide, screw it, I'm powerful enough to ignore everyone else can decide to ally together, and they will actually mean it, and they will attack you en masse. So, like, potentially that happening is something that should be kept in mind, and honestly, for me, it's more likely I want to join an alliance against one of the major powers of Europe than actually be the person who's the target of that alliance, but given enough time, we shall flipping see. Anyway, back to what we're actually doing here. Stettin needs to go down because the nobles want me to do that. Now, we've actually finally got ourselves a decent amount of strength here at Hamburg, so go on then, King Canoodle, you can actually head on your way and do that for us. It looks like we've got at least 2 units of just basic town militia, and it's a basic Mott and Bailey castle. So it won't really have much in the way of defense. Probably you're pretty safe to head on your way with what you've got there, and we should just be able to knock it over, especially now we've got these Viking raiders and these dismounted Huskarls. So he can just head out that way with everything other than, yeah, I've left behind some peasants and the damaged mercenary spearmen. But yeah, now we've got these proper heavy troops that we can also repair at Hamburg, we should be pretty safe to just walk in and take that area. Now, as for Magdeburg, what do I want to do here? I'm just going to give them some land clearance right now. Let's just give them some farming upgrades. If only because that gets the growth rate up and that gets some more money in. And money right now is in short supply. I need to potentially get myself some more... Yeah, I need to get myself some more cities. Stettin right now is a castle. And I really don't need... Yeah, if you've got like 3 castles in one town, you're doing something wrong. Because that means you've got 3 places that you can't put the tax rate up and they're never going to be proper trading hubs. I need to do something to potentially get some more cities into my empire, which probably means I should actually focus up here and get hold of Oslo and Stockholm, wherever they are exactly, because as soon as we get them on side, we'll be in better shape. In fact, actually, you know what? I need to get the ships home, because if I can get the ships home, I could potentially ferry an army over to them, because walking all the way around to Oslo is stupid, because I think it's actually in that spot right there, if I recall correctly. But yeah, walking around there takes bloody ages. But if I just bring a ship up, like, round here, I could basically get this army up there in, like, 2 turns. And the same for Stockholm. So we probably want to take both of these cities by sending an army there by boat, just ferrying them across. Once we've taken both of them, they should both be pretty darn secure. We'll want to leave, like, a small army, just because I don't really trust the Russians, not to potentially at some point come and investigate. But if we just keep a small navy around here and a small force to kind of guard it, we should be alright for the minute. Now, let's get Charles back inside Magdeburg, and yeah, what do we need to do with that army next? Probably, we want to move most of his force north. We probably want him to lead the charge up here, in fact. So, let's get some more troops trained in Hamburg if we can. No, there's nothing to be had here but some Viking Raiders. But Viking Raiders are cheap and effective. Let's get 2 Viking Raiders in production there, and let's get Charles moving back up towards Hamburg. He can pick up some troops there, head north via Aarhus, and then he can pick up with Admiral John and actually go up here and take Oslo. Wait, which is which? One of them is really well guarded, one of them isn't, and I can't remember which way round it is. But yeah, Prince Charles is going to head north and take out these lads, and it's going to be absolutely fine. Because flipping Prince Charles, by the time he becomes king, he needs to have high authority. Because if he's not, the Empire's going to get into trouble. So that's why he needs to run around with some really, really good quality troops, damn it. Right, I think that's all we can do this turn, if I am remembering correctly. Yeah, we could... Actually, you know what? Let's try an extra spear militia, because that's a freebie. Now, Imperials, yep, still heading south. They've now left our territory. Marvellous. Now, there's a decent big army at Frankfurt. We don't even want to think about war with the Empire just yet. They're just completely ignoring the flipping rebels in their territory for whatever reason. Would you mind... Ooh. Did you just attack someone? Is Britain going to war with France right now? No, I think he might have been merging into a different British army. Unfortunately, princesses don't have great visibility. Oh, you finally built some flipping roads. Ah, and we're just going to beat the Polish to Stettin. Better and better. You've got... This is... No. This is the worst possible guy. I mean, it's nice that he's young, and I like that he's called Jesper, because I used to have a dog called Jasper, and he was the sweetest thing. But no, this guy's terrible, because he's a fair fighter, but he's a fair fighter who's actively disloyal. So he's going to betray me, and despite having a fair fighter, he's got dread anyway. So we definitely don't want you in the family. Instead, we want you to now follow this road over to... Oh, that's Paris as well. Lovely. Let's just actually double check. The British aren't, like, attacking Paris or anything, are they? Because, like, that'd be weird if so. No, I'm not sure where the British are. They might be hiding in a wood or something. I mean, war between Britain and France is very, very likely. Because ultimately, where exactly are Britain going to flipping go other than attack France? I mean, you know, they can take this area, and if they're lucky, they might be able to, like, slip down to Bordeaux or something. But, like, pretty much, war between England and France is almost inevitable. Like, it may be delayed if Britain decides to attack, like, Scotland first, but even then, it's only a matter of time. How tough are you, by the way? You are a pirate ship, and I don't know how tough you are. So you know what? I'm just going to leave you alone for the time being. Britain has more of a fleet than me, I think, so I'm just going to leave that to them. And my money is continuing to go down really, really fast, because right now I'm really... Oh, dear. Right. So, oh, no, now we've got flipping Imperial Knights in our territory. Marvellous. Well, that's just annoying. Right. So Prince Charles basically needs to go and take care of them then, does he? Okay, alright. So... Fortunately, we've run into some Polish people here, and those Polish people blatantly wanted to go and take Stettin, but we're getting to Stettin first. So, Stettin, now under siege. Lovely. 2 battering rams will do the job there. No, this is going to be our city, and it is 2 peasant archers, 4 sets of town militia. Fine, we can easily handle that. But... tell me about where your lovely, lovely cities are. And also, because we are now more powerful than Poland, as a result, and their wealth is flipping bankrupt... so yeah, fortunately, we can now start... Actually, it's weirdly, despite the fact they're bankrupt, we can now start extorting money from them, and they'll gladly pay it. And quite frankly, we need this money to keep going, so I'm going to charge 500 florins for trade rights. Marvellous. Thank you very much, Poland. And also, I'll trade map information for map information, which is balanced.
I do not think you would accept in my position.
Whoa. They're trying to get the flipping money back. No. I will give you... They just gave me 500. I will give you 200 back, alright? 200, and that's a good flipping offer. No, wait, hang on. No, I'm demanding money then. No, I'm willing to give the money. That was a worse offer than we started with. I'm not very good at negotiating. As you can see, I'm terrible at it.
Do not think our people accept this willingly.
Lovely. We've managed to basically get what we wanted, but I may have just slightly annoyed them, so that's unfortunate. Now, alliance. They'd be willing to accept an alliance. Don't do it just yet, but keep it in mind. Now, the Polish people, they have got themselves 1 wooden castle up there, and then they've got themselves, that's just going to be, yeah, that's a basic town, and then in Krakow they've got themselves their capital, a large town. Fine. It would probably make sense for me to actually have, like, a nice, secure eastern flank, and they will keep me safe from the Russians, or, potentially, drag me into a flipping Russian war. So, wouldn't necessarily work for me, but I'll leave it for now. I just want to see someone else make a first move. Do I want to train more spies? I don't need a spy. I will train a church. The Pope will like that I've just built a church. Churches, by the way, are really, really flipping expensive. Like, say, you know, like building a leather tanner, 2 turns for 600 florins. A church is 800 florins for a single turn's worth of building. So, they're very, very bloody expensive churches. They get really pricey really fast. But Denmark has a particularly good reason it wants to build churches. We'll get to that when it becomes relevant. But yeah, Denmark's good at building churches, damn it. Now, Prince Charles, we need to have our first little battle out in the field here. So before we do, can we get eyes on what we're actually fighting here? Because I'm a bit worried by these flipping Imperial Knights. They're actually a little bit on the concerning side, yes. We've got massive indirect firepower advantage, surely. So if I just take, basically, all of this. You know what, we'll just take all of this, but 1 tiny crappy unit. And even then, they're still flipping yellow happiness, because these guys are just so flipping happy. Nothing's going to be attacking us, so it's fine. I'm just going to take literally everything. Now, let's go and attack these guys, and they're not willing to fight. What were you? It was 1 unit of crossbow militia, 2 spear militias, Imperial Knights. Okay, yeah. We can handle that, that's fine. So Prince Charles can handle that next turn, and you are building the rams. You can't attack this turn either. Nice. Any chance there's actually more? No, still just mercenary crossbowmen. To be honest, I'm draining dry the mercenary spearmen before they're respawning, just for retraining what I've already got, which is why they're not showing up again in a hurry. And this area is up from 75 to 78% Catholic, because this guy's so good at his job. How are you getting on, by the way? You're still not flipping up to Monopolist. I'm not happy with you. You should be up to Monopolist by now. Ah, yes, never forget Ingrid down by Paris. Sorry, we forgot about her.
What is it you would talk to us about, Signor?
No, we need to be really, really flipping careful, because, of course, France is a lot more powerful than us. I know technically it says power, weaker, wealth, and all that, but, yeah, the thing is, they're a lot more powerful than us regardless, so We need to... Would they be willing to accept? Apparently, they consider that generous, which is odd, but alright. Trade rights. Just offer them some trade rights.
You enjoy holding us to ransom like this?
I really don't want to annoy the French, so maybe I'll give them a good deal on this occasion. Balance, and you know what? I will flipping toss in 200, no, 300, no, just 200. Just 200 florins to sweeten the deal. Yeah? How's that?
Oui, why not? You have a deal.
Marvellous, so she is up and happy with that. Trait increased, she is now a diplomatic weapon, plus 3 charms. She is now up to 5 out of 10, one of the fairer ladies of the royal court. So she's getting better and better and better. We've got map information out of her. And the problem is, yeah, we kind of needed to find some Spanish princesses, ideally. But if we kind of head just down in this direction, we'll probably run into some. And sure, train one more scout, but we need to be careful here, because one of the things you can very easily do in Medieval 2, especially when you have multiple castles, is you can get a little bit building happy. You can end up bankrupting yourself by trading too much. The only reason I'm trading so much right now is because we're still in the land grab phase. So right now, I'm basically deliberately buying too much, knowing that that means I'll be able to put together more armies that can take more territories, and then ultimately it'll end up paying for itself. But don't be afraid to potentially have to disband units later, because I may well have to. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, we have got ourselves the beginning of a decent defensive line with 2 castles standing against the Imperials. We have got ourselves some heavy infantry out onto the field, and we have beaten the Polish to Stettin. And I would say that is actually a pretty damn good starting point, a decent foundation upon which to build the rest of our empire. Next time, I think, however, we need to start looking at the economy, because right now we've got way too many castles coming in and not enough towns. So we need to figure out how we're going to deal with Stettin, whether it's safe for that to actually become a town, and then Charles needs to continue his journey northwards, because I think Oslo and Stockholm could actually be some quite profitable little towns. They've definitely got some good trade resources. So we need to get up there, get them set up, and see what I can do to fix the economy, because right now, money is going to start running out very, very quickly. So, that is coming soon, ladies and gentlemen. But in the meantime, I've been John. This has been many a true nerd, and this has been Medieval 2 Total War. Thank you very much, and goodbye. And our guys go in, and I think we completely missed. We totally missed. And a double charge. Oh, that's what we needed to be seeing. Nice. Give them something to think about while they're going home, Balthazar. Got my timing just about right there. Stupid gits.